Grief is about to explode in Salem, and Holly may be standing directly in the path of Amy's pain. The biggest emotional pressure in these Days of Our Lives spoilers for Thursday, May 14, comes from one painful truth. Amy is still blaming Holly for Sophia's death. That anger has not faded, it has not softened, and now it looks like Holly will have to face the full force of a mother's heartbreak. This is not just a simple confrontation, this is grief looking for someone to punish. Amy's world has been shattered by Sophia's death, and when someone is drowning in that kind of loss, reason can disappear very quickly. The spoilers make it clear that Amy still sees Holly as part of the reason Sophia is gone. Whether that blame is fair or not, Amy's emotions are already locked onto Holly. And when Amy goes off on the teen, the scene has the potential to become one of the most painful moments of the day. Because Holly is not just dealing with blame, she is dealing with the kind of blame that comes from a parent who has lost a child. That makes the emotional stakes much heavier. Amy is not simply angry, she is grieving. She is broken. She is searching for a place to put all of that pain. And in her mind, Holly is still connected to Sophia's death in a way Amy cannot let go of. For Holly, this could be devastating. She is already in the middle of a nightmare, and now she has to face Amy's rage directly. Even if Holly tries to explain herself, even if she feels guilt, fear, or confusion, Amy may not be ready to hear anything that does not match the pain she is carrying. That is what makes this Days of Our Lives spoiler so tense. It is not about a mystery being solved, it is about emotion boiling over before anyone can stop it. And the hardest part is that Amy's anger may not bring her any peace. Sometimes in Salem, blame becomes a weapon, but grief does not always become lighter after it lashes out. It can leave everyone more wounded than before. This moment also puts Holly in a very vulnerable position. She is young, she is under pressure, and when an adult grieving mother turns all that rage toward her, the emotional weight is enormous. Holly may be forced to carry accusations she is not fully prepared to answer. And even if Amy's pain is understandable, that does not make the confrontation less damaging. That is why this storyline feels like the emotional center of Thursday's DOOL spoilers. Sophia's death is still sending shockwaves. Amy's grief is still raw. Holly is still caught in the fallout. And the more Amy blames Holly, the more this situation threatens to turn grief into something darker. At the same time, another crisis is unfolding for Johnny and Chanel. The spoilers say Johnny and Chanel will be there for one another in a time of crisis. That line may sound simple, but in Salem, support during a crisis often reveals more than any romantic speech ever could. When life gets painful, people show who they really are. They show whether they run, whether they shut down, or whether they stay. For Johnny and Chanel, this could be an important emotional test. Being there for each other does not erase the crisis. It does not magically fix whatever they are facing, but it does show that their bond still has strength. In the middle of fear, pressure, or heartbreak, they turn toward each other instead of away from each other. And that matters. Days of Our Lives has always built strong emotional moments around loyalty, not loud loyalty, not dramatic promises, the quiet kind. The kind where one person simply refuses to let the other stand alone. That appears to be the space Johnny and Chanel enter on Thursday, and that kind of support can shift a relationship. When two people share a crisis, it can bring them closer. It can remind them what they still mean to each other. It can also bring buried pain to the surface. For Johnny and Chanel, this moment may not be about huge declarations. It may be about presence, comfort, standing side by side when things feel unstable. That creates a very different kind of tension from Amy and Holly's confrontation. Amy's storyline is about grief turning outward. Johnny and Chanel's moment is about connection under pressure. One scene pushes people apart, the other may pull people closer. And that contrast is important. Thursday's Day's spoilers are not only about anger, they are about how different characters respond when life becomes too much. Amy responds with blame. Johnny and Chanel respond with support. Both reactions come from emotional pressure, but they lead in very different directions. That is what makes the day feel layered. Salem is not moving through one kind of crisis, it is moving through several. Some characters are trying to hold each other together, others are struggling not to fall apart, and then there is the possibility of romance between Jada and Shawn. The spoilers suggest that things may be warming up again between them, especially when Jada takes Shawn in. That one move carries a lot of meaning. Taking someone in is personal. It is not casual. It suggests concern, closeness, and a willingness to make space for someone when they may need support. Now, the spoiler does not confirm exactly where this is heading. It only says romance could bloom again, and that it certainly looks possible. So this should be treated as a possibility, not a guarantee. But the emotional door seems open, and sometimes that is all Salem needs. Jada taking Shawn in could become one of those small choices that carries bigger romantic tension underneath. It does not have to be dramatic on the surface. It does not have to come with a confession, but proximity changes things. When two people spend time together during a vulnerable moment, the emotional walls can start to lower. Old feelings can become harder to ignore. New comfort can begin to feel dangerous. For Jada and Shawn, the question is not just whether romance is possible, the question is whether they are ready for it. That is what gives this spoiler its quiet pull. It is not as explosive as Amy confronting Holly. It is not as urgent as Johnny and Chanel facing a crisis. But it adds a softer, romantic tension to the day. And in DOOL spoilers, those softer moments can still matter because they plant emotional seeds. Jada's decision to take Shawn in suggests trust. It suggests she is willing to step closer instead of keeping distance. And if Shawn accepts that support, the space between them may begin to shift. Viewers may see comfort turn into chemistry, or at least the hint that something deeper could be building again. But because the spoiler frames it as a possibility, the script has to stay careful. This is not a confirmed reunion. It is not a guaranteed love story. It is a signal, a moment that could move them closer, a choice that could reopen feelings. And in Salem, reopening feelings can be just as dangerous as starting something new. While romance may be quietly stirring for Jada and Shawn, family tension is rising for Gabi, Ari, and Liam. Gabi has already made it clear that she is not happy about the budding relationship between Ari and Liam. That concern now pushes her to ask Ari for answers. She wants to know where things stand, and that is exactly the kind of mother-daughter pressure that can turn emotional very quickly. Gabi is not acting like someone who is relaxed about this situation. She is concerned. She is watching closely, and when Gabi wants answers, she usually does not tiptoe around the issue. But this is where the emotional conflict gets interesting. Ari is not just a daughter being questioned. She is a young woman with her own feelings, her own choices, and her own connection to Liam. Gabi may see danger, uncertainty, or something she does not trust. Ari may see something completely different. That creates a natural divide. Gabi's concern may come from love, but love can still feel controlling when it comes with pressure. Ari may not want her mother stepping too far into her personal life, and Gabi may believe that stepping in is exactly what a mother should do before things go too far. This is not the loudest spoiler of the day, but it matters because it brings family pressure into the mix. Gabi wants answers. Ari may not want to give them. Liam's connection with Ari is already enough to make Gabi uncomfortable, and that discomfort can easily grow if Gabi feels Ari is not being fully honest with her. In Days of Our Lives updates like this, romantic tension often does not stay romantic for long. It becomes family tension, it becomes control, it becomes mistrust. And once a parent starts questioning a relationship, the young couple at the center can feel pushed even closer together, or pulled apart by the pressure. That is the risk for Ari and Liam. Gabi's concern may be understandable, but the way she handles it could decide whether Ari opens up or shuts down. If Gabi pushes too hard, Ari may become defensive. If Ari avoids the question, Gabi may only become more suspicious. Either way, this storyline has the potential to build slowly, with emotional conflict growing underneath the surface. And that brings us back to the main emotional storm of Thursday's DOOL spoilers, Amy and Holly. Because while Gabi is asking questions, while Jada and Shawn may be moving closer, and while Johnny and Chanel are leaning on each other, Amy is still trapped in pain. Sophia's death is not just a past event for her, it is still alive in every accusation, every burst of anger, and every moment she looks at Holly. That is what makes Amy's confrontation so powerful. It shows how grief can freeze someone in one belief. Amy blames Holly, and until that blame changes, every interaction between them will carry danger. Holly may not be able to say the right thing. Amy may not be ready to hear the truth, the full story, or any explanation that complicates her anger. This is where the emotional question becomes bigger than one confrontation. Can Amy ever move past blaming Holly? Or will Sophia's death keep turning into more conflict, more guilt, and more heartbreak for everyone left behind? That is the real weight of Thursday, May 14. Some characters are leaning into comfort, some are testing romance, some are demanding answers. But Amy and Holly are standing inside the heaviest fallout of all. So, what do you think? Is Amy's anger understandable because of her grief, or is she unfairly putting too much blame on Holly? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for daily Days of Our Lives spoilers, DOOL spoilers, recaps, and updates.